So I watched Poor Things and I loved it. And then I started looking up information about it. And it turns out a lot of people hate it. And a lot of people hate it because they think it's exploitative. And I disagree with them. And I'm gonna share why. Obviously, everyone has right to their own opinion, and I'm not here to make people agree with me. I just want to share why I disagree with them. And also why I thought the movie was very relatable, which I don't think a lot of people would necessarily agree with me, but that's because we are all different. And I mean, I know a lot of people will agree with me, but also there is a lot of people won't. So I'm gonna go through my notes why I don't think it's exploitative and how that relates to how I actually think the movie is very relatable. One of the reasons why I don't think it's exploitative is that the abuser in the movie is described as bad and framed as bad. Like, nobody leaves the movie thinking, oh, I thought that was a great character. I thought what he did to the main character, to Bella, was really good. I loved it. I want to be like him. No, everybody leaves the movie feeling really uncomfortable about the character, thinking, wow, that was messed up. It's not like glamorizing. I mean, maybe it is, but that's just because the movie is so beautiful, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think if you're going to make a movie, make it beautiful. Like, what's the point of making a movie? It's not if it's not going to be visually engaging. Just like, give up at that point. No, I'm sorry, but like, why make a movie if it's not visually engaging? So I don't think it's glorifying the abuse. I just think that it's part of her growing journey. Part of it also why I don't think it's exploitative is like, there's absolutely no victim blaming. Like, Bella never asked for it. She went with it because it gave something to her. But throughout the whole movie, he's never framed as this like savior who came to save her and is like her prince in shining armor. No, it's framed as this creepy old man who wanted to have intercourse with a child, basically. And there's like no victim blaming, and Bella leaves her, and that's part of her growing journey. She learns that not everyone has the best intentions, and she sees that he is actually taking advantage of her, and she is actually, when she grows up, and she's growing up really fast throughout the movie, obviously. Yeah, that's part of her journey, her realizing that this man is not actually taking care of her, but he's actually abusing her. And when he comes and asks to get back with her, to get back together with her, she just ignores him. She says no. And that brings me to like the whole movie, the abuser is framed as the villain. Like, if you'd have to say who's the main villain of the story, it would be that one man, right? I can't remember his name, but it would be that man. It's absurd to not like a movie because the villain does bad things. Like, that just makes no sense. To me, at least. So, yeah, I don't agree with people who think it's exploitative. And then there is another type of people who are like, oh, but like, it's destroying the original story of Frankenstein monster. But I don't think it's actually trying to be a Frankenstein monster. I think it's been advertised as that because it reminds people of the story of Frankenstein monster, but not at any point is it trying to be an adaptation of Frankenstein monster or trying to be a Frankenstein monster. It just reminds people of that. So that's why people call it like the female version of Frankenstein monster, but it's not. It's actually an adaptation of a novel that came out in like Victorian time. It has like nothing to do with Frankenstein monster. So that's also a bit absurd, I think. And then also, the actress is an adult. Movies will have child actors going through these horrific traumatic events, and you think like, oh, what will that leave behind for the child actor? But in this movie, even though her age is a bit uncertain, we don't really know how old she is mentally, but physically she's an adult, and the actress is adult, so there is no exploiting in that sense either. And then I think it's very relatable what she goes through, in the sense that she's just wanted for her body. Where the villain doesn't go for her because he thinks her personality is wonderful. Like at that point, she doesn't really have that. I mean, she has a personality, but it's mostly like a kid, you know? There's nothing. Like the only reason why the villain is attracted to her is her body, and I think that's very relatable because I've had a lot of relationships where people like me when I'm quiet and polite and I act nice and dress nice, and suddenly when they realize that that's just an act I put on, that's just my mask, and then they see the real me, they are terrified and they decide that it's not for them. So yeah, I felt that was very relatable, which kind of brings me to the point why I think this movie is very relatable. And I'll show you the scene, which is my favorite scene of the movie. And again, as said before, I really relate to this. So it's this one.
Must be hot.
We must go help them.
How will we do that? Bella. Bella. Bella.
Oh yeah, it's a painful scene, and I find it very, very relatable because I get it. Like, you should have seen me when I first heard about climate change. And my parents tried to make me believe that it wasn't real. And when I realized that it was very much a real thing, I was crying for weeks. And I became vegetarian originally before I learned about all the abuse that goes on with meat industry, just because I thought it was wrong to eat living, breathing beings. And I get that pain for the world and the like not believing that it's possible that people can actually be so cruel and feeling so guilty for having a relatively comfortable life when other people are starving, and feeling that you need to do everything in your power to help them but not being able to do anything. And I find that so relatable. And also later on, when they are talking and the other character tells her that he just wanted to hurt her because he felt jealous of her joy and how she sees the best in people. And I also feel that. I often feel like when I try to talk with people about things and I say that I believe that humanity in its core is unselfish and it's humanity because we take care of each other. How the first signs of humans were that there was a bone that was healed because the other humans were taking care of the injured one instead of letting him or her die. And then people will just punch me down. They will say that that's wrong and humans are awful beings and nothing will ever be right. And I'm being completely delusional for believing that there is good in humanity and this is not actually what humanity is at its core, and I believe that people can change. And I feel like people will purposely just punch me down, will purposely want to hurt me, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why it makes somebody feel better. Like, do they go home and think, oh, I did a good thing today, I made somebody sad, I hurt somebody, I feel really good about myself? Or do they just not think? I don't understand it. And in the movie she says that she's glad because now that she knows the truth she can do something. But I don't think I feel that way. That's the only thing I can't relate to. And that's mainly because I do feel so helpless. I can't even help myself. How can I help other people? But another thing that I do relate to her also about her is that she will do selfish things, right? In the next scene after that, she steals all of his boyfriend, all of her boyfriend's money, her abuser's money, and just gives it to these random sailors who probably end up stealing it, but she just believes in them that they will give it to the people who need it. And I feel like I have that same rose-colored glasses where I just believe the best in people again and again and again, and that's why I let people kind of walk over me. But I would rather believe that than that people are purposely being evil or people are purposely hurting each other. And it's quite funny because like it's seen as a very selfish thing that she does, right? And I feel the same where people often call me selfish, but I don't think that's true. I don't feel that's true. I very rarely, the reason why I think people think I'm selfish is because I very rarely think about other people's feelings. So I do think about other people, but not exactly their feelings, because I don't think those are very important, which probably relates back to me not thinking my feelings are very important. But I feel like people having a place to live, or, you know, food, or education, or healthcare are more important than how somebody feels. And I quite often I will always keep my promises. I will always help if people ask me about it, and I try to be helpful. But I don't go about thinking about what other people are feeling or how I could make them feel better. I think I'm more focused on trying not to hurt them, because I will not purposely hurt people. But occasionally I will accidentally do it, which also relates back to the movie, how she doesn't understand the social norms and the social rules and why things can't be spoken about. And I very much relate to that. There's been multiple times when I've hurt people accidentally by just saying what's in my mind. For example, there was a time when I was training at circus and there was this one trick I just couldn't get. And there was the other girl who could get the trick. And I said that I think she can do it and I can't do it because her thighs are so thick. And what she took it as was me saying, "Oh, you're so fat, so you can do it." But what I was actually saying was, "Oh, because you have such a muscular, good-looking thick thighs, and I'm such a bony, whatever, slender man, you know." So in my head, it was a good thing, but she took it as offensive and as me being mean, which was not my goal. And then afterwards, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't think what I said was wrong. I don't think what I said was actually hurtful, but and I don't know what I could have said to make it better. And then I came to the conclusion that I can't say anything about other people's bodies without being offensive. So I just have tried to stop talking about other people's bodies and just try to stop commenting on those. And then another part was when I told my friend that she smelled like plasters, which I thought she did. Like, I didn't think that was a bad thing. I just thought it was an interesting thing. And also she took as, it was a different girl, but she took that as offensive. So again, in my head, I'm like, I don't think that was a bad thing to say, but again, maybe I just shouldn't have commented on how she smells. And that kind of got me on this whirlwind of like, I think I just shouldn't say anything. Like, I feel like anything I say will make people hurt. So do I really need to say my opinions aloud? Do I really need to talk about things? And isn't it better if I just say nothing at all? Which is why people think I'm very quiet, because I don't like to talk a lot because I'm afraid that I will hurt people. And I will like literally have dreams where I'm sewing my mouth shut or taping it just so I can't say anything, so I don't end up hurting people. So at the core, I'm actually really talkative. I will just talk for hours and hours and hours and not care if people are listening to me or not. But I've tried to change a lot. I've tried to stop talking. And because I can't tell if what I'm saying is okay or a good thing, or what I'm saying is a bad thing and will make people hurt, I just try to say nothing at all. And then that's also kind of a thing where, for example, when it comes to sex, I don't understand why people can't talk about it, which also relates to the movie, because she will say these inappropriate things and do these inappropriate things. And I'm asexual, at least I think so. So it just interests me because I don't understand it, and things that I don't understand interest me. But a lot of people won't talk about it, which is bizarre to me, because if we don't talk about it, how can we learn from it? So I wish people would be just like more open. I just don't understand why certain things are taboo and other things are not. Yeah, I don't get it. And then another thing that I relate in the movie is the feeling of watching people go about their lives and you being stuck inside and kind of kept prisoner. In the movie, she obviously has her god or her father, her creator, keep her as a prisoner, and then after that, her boyfriend or lover or abuser or the villain of the story, whatever, I can't remember his name. So obviously I have like, I don't have a person keeping me prisoner, but quite often I do feel like I'm being kept prisoner in my body and also in the house inside, because, and my mind, because of my anxiety. I find it really difficult going outside, which I never had before. I've always found it difficult to use public transport and be in a space with a lot of people, but I don't have agoraphobia, so to say. But nowadays I do find it hard to go outside because I can't walk very far with my own legs without any sort of mobility aid. And then I can't get very far with my wheelchair either if I don't have somebody to push me. And with my rollator, I can get farther than with my own feet or with a wheelchair, but again, I can't get that far, and I find it really embarrassing because everyone's like, oh, well, why is that young girl, a young woman, walking with a rollator? And I find it very embarrassing. So I've kind of gotten stuck inside, plus I don't really have that much energy to go outside either. So I find myself day after day after day being stuck in my room and just watching other people do whatever they want to about their lives, or like also just get the help that I would need. And then I'm just being stuck inside and, not getting any help, being abandoned by people. And it's hard. But yeah. So, poor things. I loved it. I think I will watch it multiple times. I think it's my new favorite movie. And it makes me feel a lot less alone and a lot more seen. And it's also a beautiful, beautiful movie. And I do recommend watching some things about the cinematography and how it portrays things and how the colors and the sets and the cinematography tells a story. And that's what I love about movies and TV series. If you're gonna make a visual piece of art, make it visually engaging, actually use the set and use the cinematography, use the camera angles and lenses to tell a story. Like, why are you making a visual piece if you're not gonna use that? Then just like make an audio drama or like a book or something, if you have a good story. But why make a visual piece? Why make a movie or TV series if it's not gonna be visually engaging? But yeah. And the movie also kind of made me realize how I've had therapists or psychologists who say that I kind of live my life through movies and I understand the reality through movies and TV series. And I've thought that they're wrong, that I don't do that, but now I do actually think that I do that a lot. I think I learn about people and life through movies and TV series, and the more I grew up, I've realized how important representation is and why I was so attracted to drama and performing arts, because that's always how I've kind of realized and how I've understood my reality and how I've come to realize things about myself. is through movies and TV shows and books. And I very rarely watch reality TV or anything. I think what I like is stories. And I think that made me realize also why I eventually did give up acting. Like, obviously, my body just completely failing me had a part in that too. But even before that, I was thinking that acting might not be my thing. Because what I realized about all of these was the stories, was sharing the stories and telling the stories. And with acting, you very rarely get to choose the stories that you portray. You very rarely get to choose the roles that you do. So I thought that was my issue with acting and why I actually enjoyed writing and I guess like creating roles more than actually portraying them. It's quite interesting how my brain works, I think. And also a reason why I started this YouTube channel is because I will just talk for hours and hours and hours on end and not care if people are listening to me. So at least this way it's kind of consensual. Like if you don't want to hear me blabber about weird things and how my brain is strange and about things that really don't interest you, you don't have to. You can just ignore me and just not watch my videos. And then if you are interested in those things and interested in the similar things as I, maybe I can actually reach some people and I can get more comfortable about talking things without trying to censor every single thing I say. But yeah, if you know me in real life and I ever say anything that offends you, please just ask. It's the same thing when I will use occasionally offensive language, especially in Japanese or in English, but that's not because I don't know it's offensive. I learn languages by listening to others and listening to words they say. And I'm occasionally not that good with tone. So I will hear people use a word, I don't know, like retarded. And I will think like, okay, that means disabled. And I didn't understand that it's offensive. So I will think that that word is just a word for disabled people. Like now I know it. But and if like and then people will just assume that I know that it's offensive and will get mad at me when they could just ask, oh, did you know that that word is offensive? When I would be like, no, absolutely, I did know that. I will never use it again, I'm so sorry. But instead of telling me that this word is offensive or that this word is wrong, they will just get offended and not say anything. So I don't understand why people can't just ask. So yeah, if anybody ever use offensive language with you, don't get hurt. Ask them if they meant it. And if they say that I know that offensive what I meant, then get mad and then get hurt and then get angry. But yeah, I just think world would be such a better place if people just asked, if people just talked about things they don't understand. And there's also been these things, especially like with my trans friends, when they're taking it as offensive when I've tried to compare their experience to mine. But the thing is, I don't try to compare it. So, for example, when they've talked about how they feel like they're in a wrong body, I've said things like, oh, like sometimes I will look at the mirror and I will not recognize myself. And that kind of dissociation bothers me. So I'm wondering if that's something like what they're feeling. And I'm not trying to like compare our experiences. I know that their experience is nothing like mine. But in my head, I'm trying to understand them. I'm trying to kind of step into their shoes and wonder like, oh, maybe it's like that, but like 10 times worse. And again, I don't think it's wrong of me to do that. But again, maybe it's wrong for me to say that. Like maybe I should have just not said anything, but in my head thought about, oh, like maybe it is like that, but like 10 times worse. Which also brings me back to why I can't say anything, because I'm afraid that people will get hurt. And I just find it easier to not say anything because I don't know what can I say, what I can't. So yeah, it's been a lot of me rambling. So I think I'm gonna stop. But yeah, if you haven't seen Poor Things, watch it. It's great. It's amazing. The cinematography is amazing. Oh, and the costumes. I love them so much. I literally could just take Bella's whole wardrobe. Like, I love her wardrobe. I love the colors. I love the style. I love the kind of mix between decades, and I just love everything about the movie. I just love the movie. It's my new favorite movie. I love it. I think I want it on like DVD or something so that I for sure can watch it whenever I want and not trying to find some shady website or some other things where I get like I want to be able to watch it whenever I want. So yeah, watch Poor Things. Have a nice day, I suppose, and yeah, don't get offended. Bye.